Pros, save more on the materials you need to get the job done, inside and out, at Lowe's. Right now, get 10% off in-stock Trex Naturals decking, now available in more styles. Plus, get 15% off select custom entry, interior, and storm doors. Then, we'll deliver it all straight to your job site to help keep your jobs moving. Get the brands pros trust, priced right, and ready when you need them. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/27. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Looking for these better days.
It is Thursday, May 21st. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. Thunder even up the Western Conference Finals with a 122-113 over the Spurs last night. The Knicks will look to take a 2-0 series lead in the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Michael Fiddle joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. You can follow Fiddle on Twitter at Fiddle's Picks. He's one of the best when it comes to breaking down NBA betting. You read his stuff on Yahoo Sports, Action Network all the time. You check out his site, Betting with Fiddle Pod also. Michael, appreciate you joining us here on Better Day. And look, last night I played our tried and true system of the Thunder in the first quarter. And for those who are just tuning in, first off, where you've been, but our first quarter system is simple. It's very simple. We back the teams that lose the previous game and are favored in the next game. It's an overwhelming hit rate in the first quarter. Last night was a push in the first quarter money line because a Chet Holmgren 3 got changed to a 2. Now, granted, we did get lucky with a charge call on Victor Wembanyama at the end of the quarter, but Thunder, when it was all said and done, get the win, get the cover. What was your biggest takeaway from the game last night?
I think the biggest takeaway is honestly the injuries. As sad as it is to say, we see J-Dub leave the game in the first quarter and not return. On the Spurs side, we see Dylan Harper get pulled to the locker room with a hamstring injury. He starts trotting back out there and then pulled back to the locker room again by the trainers. And we see the Twitter doctors already saying, the mechanism of the injury looks like, this could be a multiple game injury, the way it went and the way he landed. And then on nearly the end of the game, after an amazing box out by AJ Mitchell, on another rebound attempt about a play or two later, he comes up with seemingly a groin issue. So being down creators left and right, the Spurs down De'Aaron Fox, and we'll see if he comes back with the ankle sprain, and now Dylan Harper. And on the Thunder side, being without Jalen Williams and potentially AJ Mitchell, like a lot of the handicap for the next game has to revolve around how we forecast the injury report, how that might change the adjustments from each coach. But besides that, this series has been a gift from the basketball gods to any basketball fan out there. Some of the best, highest level basketball I've watched in years and years and years.
Were you surprised we didn't see De'Aaron Fox last night? Or do you think with the 1-0 series lead, it was better for them to give him another game?
So I think a lot of people rely on they're up 1-0, just give them another game. I don't really buy into that stuff because you're playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Any game you can get is massive, right? Like this game, just because you're up 1-0 doesn't make game 2 any less critical than it would have been otherwise, in my opinion. So, and these guys are fierce competitors. They're going to want to play regardless. There was a report from Mark J. Spears that he was trying to play and optimistic to play from the Spurs. So I actually played into the over and got a bad number. But, me and from a betting perspective, like I'm just obsessed with CLV and fronting the market. So I was trying to, front a De'Aaron Fox is going to play with the early reports of optimism. He also got hurt in game 5 and then played in game 6 against the Timberwolves, only to then miss games 1 and 2. So this one's been really hard to understand. I definitely was surprised that De'Aaron Fox was not out there, but it did seem like midday reporting with him just at sweatpants and shoot around, like it was clearly trending the wrong way, and it has to be less optimistic going into game 3, considering, he was at shoot around for game 1. So I wonder if some aggravation happened and we're just not hearing about it.
So one of the props that I was looking forward to playing last night with the assumption that De'Aaron Fox would come back is to go under Stephon Castle numbers. I wanted to go under assists, and he did 9 turnovers last night. Like the same problem that kind of plagued him in game number 1 came around in game number 2. Obviously it didn't hurt him, too much there in game number, 2, in game number 1 because they won, but he had 11 turnovers, right? And he had another 9 turnovers last night. And I thought that, hey, if De'Aaron Fox is back in the lineup, there's less emphasis or less onus, let's say, on Stephon Castle to be a facilitator and to pass the ball as much as he has been doing. So if De'Aaron Fox does play in game 3, would that be an angle you would look to attack in the prop market, maybe going under Stephon Castle assists?
Yeah, definitely the under assists is probably a good look. The only, wrench to throw in there is if AJ Mitchell does play, then the options for the Thunder to go with like Cason Wallace, literally one of my favorite players right now, Cason Wallace, and Alex Caruso. Like, if you get those two guys on ball playing defense, it's like I really love navigating over to the Keldon Johnson prop market because I assume he's going to have to play a bigger role if Dylan Harper is forced to miss, even regardless of De'Aaron Fox news. So I'm going to be looking for Keldon Johnson overs for sure, maybe a long shot double when the market opens. But I would agree. If Fox plays, then you're going to downgrade the Castle assist number and you're actually going to upgrade his points number. He's actually been a bigger scorer when Fox has been out there because the defensive attention's away from him. So his 3-point frequency skyrocket. So I like the idea to target the assist number. Just be, when doing those things, Scott, and I'm sure you do it, but just for the listeners, like make sure you look up what the previous number in the market was the last game, because it's not just saying, oh, we're going to just go play the under on the assist. It's like, well, if the number moved from 8.5 to 6.5, well, then how actionable is it still, right? So you always want to know what the previous line was and see if market adjusted to De'Aaron Fox being in. But if it's, 1 assist lower, then for sure actionable.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice there. Shea finally goes over his points prop. It was 29.5. He scores 30, 0 of 3 from 3-point range. I took a shot at some plus money on him going, hitting a couple of threes. That didn't happen. Caruso did go over his 3-point prop once again. He was 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. Were you surprised? Like, I always think that, especially going up against Wembanyama, right? You see teams more likely to shoot from the outside because they don't want to take the ball in on him. And, yes, Holmgren can kind of spread the floor a little bit. So maybe it's a little bit different for the Thunder because you can take Wemby out if he's going to be on Chet Holmgren. But I thought we'd see a little bit more 3-point shooting from the Thunder last night, and we didn't quite see as much volume as I thought we were going to see.
Yeah, that is a key thing against Wembanyama, is targeting opponent 3-pointers for sure. This is also going to be something that really revolves around the injury report, because if AJ and J-Dub are both out, and I kind of want to assume that they are based on the way that it looked. Like J-Dub, I would say, is probably done for the series. Harper, I would say, is probably going to miss a few games. Fox and AJ Mitchell, those are the pieces that I still want to learn information of. But one of the most actionable things, Scott, that I've seen throughout the playoffs is the little snippets into the coaches' huddles and what the coaches are saying and what the sidelines are reporters are saying, that this is what they talked about in the huddle. Translating that over to the market where basketball adjustments are so crucial in these series and matchups. And you heard it from Daigneault and from the sideline reporter saying Daigneault is emphasizing spacing. He wants to make sure the offense is spaced out. You see it even when they're in the half court set, like balls being taken out from their other side under the Oklahoma City basket. They're starting to dribble up the court. They have 2 guys in both corners already, like to start out every set. So that amount of spacing out there is going to be something that, the Thunder are going to lean into their shooting, and the replacement options for J-Dub and AJ Mitchell are Isaiah Joe. It's Aaron Wiggins. It's more Jared McCain. It's more Caruso, who's been a flamethrower from 3. It's been Cason Wallace, who was hitting massive shots today. So it's like every one of those guys can step up and shoot threes. So I actually would, I would continue to look over in the threes market and over on the game total because of that. I think is an instant play. The market for game 3 opened 214 and a half. I was an immediate click on the over right there. We now see it at 215 and a half. That's still a click for me, regardless of the injuries. And then buoyed by the chance that Fox plays, we might be looking at 218 and a half by tip off on tomorrow night.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And with the 3-point props, I mean, last night it was, I got plus 138 on Caruso over 2.5 made threes. If I'm still getting plus money on over 2.5, like, I think that's a gift in game number 3, because he was 3 of 4, like I said last night. And if J-Dub and you mentioned Mitchell could be out, he's going to shoot more than 4 3-pointers in game number 3.
Can I tell you the pivot there as well? If Caruso's priced out in the threes market,
Would you go Isaiah Joe?
I'd go Lou Dort, because if you look
Oh,
at
okay.
the
All
if
right.
you look up the 3-point attempts per 100 possessions for
Hmm.
Caruso and Dort against the Spurs, those are the people that they're saying, yeah, go ahead, beat us with your threes. And so
Mm.
Caruso's been like, yeah, I will torch you with my threes, and I'll talk some shit on the way out. It's Dort who's going to be, next man up there, where they might cut off the Caruso option from the 3-point range and still leave Dort. So if you look up the attempts per 100 possessions, Caruso and Dort were shooting over 25 attempts of 3-point attempts per 100 against the Spurs. And that goes back to all of the regular season stats too. So those guys are going to get up insane volume. So I actually expect Dort's moonball to be a prominent feature of game 3 if Caruso's is, not plus money. What'd you say you got it at plus 138?
Plus 138. Yep.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, if that's not, that better be at, plus 110, probably still actionable. And, even
Yes.
money or minus odds, probably pivot to Dort.
You mentioned taking the over, which is now at 215.5 up on FanDuel. Spurs minus 1.5 for the game. What do you think about Spurs have been so good in the first quarter. I talk about my first quarter bets all the time, and this triggers that system, which is the team just lost the game, and now they are favored in the next game, and this is where you want to play them here in the first quarter. And yes, last night was a push, but looking at this game tomorrow, the Spurs would fit this trend. Do you think San Antonio gets out to a fast start?
So, Scott, you have a system for when you see this first quarter approach. I kind of have a systematic approach to when I see, 1.5 as the number. The number 1 is the 11th most common outcome in NBA games. It is like as far away from a key number as you could possibly get, especially true in the playoffs, where late game fouling situation pops up a little bit. So, we rarely see a 1. So at this point in market cycle, I'd rather trade potentially half a point for more information, right? So I'd rather watch the board and say, I don't need to strike anywhere yet on a line that's plus 1.5, minus 1.5 in any direction. Let me see where clear market action comes in. Let me see which side, does this go out to -2 on the Spurs? Does this, come towards a pick 'em and it's worth it taking the Thunder because that becomes the sharp side? You have some wiggle room and some time to figure out where the sharp side is going to be. And again, it's largely going to depend on the injury news, which we'll get either later today or tomorrow, probably not even to tomorrow until shoot around. But this is one of those situations that because of the number, time is on our side in deciding where we want to go.
I love that. Just updating the numbers real quick on that first quarter system. So you lose the previous game in the series and you are favored in the next game. You are in the first quarter 17-6-1 straight up, 14-6-2 against the spread because 14-7-2 against the spread because Thunder did not cover, but I'm a money line guy when it comes to those first quarter lines. So 17-6-1 straight up in the first quarter. So we might be looking at that for game number 3 in San Antonio. Let's talk about game number 2 tonight at Madison Square Garden, Fiddle, as we have the Knicks 6.5-point favorites over the Cavs up on FanDuel, total of 216.5. It's the exact same line that we saw in game number 1. Does this surprise you that the market has not moved one way or another? I get it. We had a close game. It went into overtime, but the Knicks also had to come back from 22 points down in the fourth quarter to do so.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, how much does the market bake in an emotional collapse? Right. So I think the number for game 1 was 7.5 and got hit on the Cavaliers and closed 6.5. And that was mainly a rest disparity thing. The Cavaliers coming off a road game 7 in Detroit, 48-hour turnaround, then going into MSG on the road again. Very akin to what the 76ers had when they went road win at Boston, turnaround 2 days, 48 hours between tip-offs, road game in MSG against the Knicks. The clear thing that we saw was the Knicks pushed the pace. And while the shooting numbers were dreadful, they were like 2 for 21 from 3 combined in the first quarter. Like, it was miserable shooting. I actually have no strong opinion on the side. I do think the number favors taking the Cavaliers more than anything else. Personally, I have plenty of Cavaliers futures, so I'm in one of those situations where it feels like doubling down grabbing Cavaliers plus 6.5 for me personally, because like if they lose, then it's like it puts all my futures in such a bad equity position where it's like if they win, I'll get some equity gain in the futures market. I like the over for this game as well. It goes back to the 3-point shooting for both of these teams. I expect improvement on both ends. I expect less turnovers. And I think that the depth that the Knicks have really allows them to continue to push the pace. So I expect another fast game like we saw today with the Spurs in Oklahoma City. I expect spacing to be a major thing. We already saw this market lift from 214.5 to 215.5. So I'm right back on the over for game 2. It was an over. Same thing in Spurs OKC. It was an over in game 1 because of the overtimes. I think we get home without the overtimes in game 2.
I like it. One of my favorite things about game number 1 was that Karl-Anthony Towns only had 5 assists. And when I say only, it still cashed the bet that I've been betting every single Knicks game of the playoffs here, which is Karl-Anthony Towns over his assist props. And the fact that it was only 5 made me smile because it meant that we are once again getting a 4.5 assist line up on FanDuel for Karl-Anthony Towns tonight. And we are going back to the well with Cat over 4.5 assists. It cashes every game, guys. I don't even have to explain it to you anymore. You've been listening to this podcast. You know, he's called Point Towns on this pod for a reason, but the fact that it's still 4.5, thank you very much, because we had seen it get taxed up to 5.5 and he still goes over, but he did cash going over 4.5 last game. He will go over 4.5 here again tonight. Any player props that you've been targeting here for tonight's game?
Yeah, so I am going to be looking towards for the Knicks and the Cavaliers. Yep. Sorry, I was waiting for the number to appear for the OKC and the San Antonio game 3, which is a Keldon Johnson double long shot. That's what I'm looking for, because we saw Dylan Harper get there with the rebound. So like I would love, north of 10-1 on a Keldon Johnson double. I have not played any props for game 2 yet in the Knicks series, but I will say the Landry Shamet markets probably are overs at value. Yep. Because it was clear that Mike Brown during the comeback was willing to let Shamet be a primary on-ball defender, which Knicks did plenty this season, and they went away from Deuce McBride and to Landry Shamet. They even kept Landry Shamet out there for minutes where Josh Hart was left on the bench. So Mike Brown clearly going to Shamet during that fourth quarter run. I think he gets more run in the first half, so I'd be looking towards his overs.
Yeah, I like that because, and Mike Brown's a guy that he will make the adjustment. We saw Josh Hart. He was, he was, what was it, minus 20 or whatever it was when he was on the floor. And it was the opposite. Landry Shamet was like a plus 25. Like he rode the hot hand there in the fourth quarter and it paid off. Obviously, big 3-pointer there down the stretch. So I could see Mike Brown going right back to that. Michael, this was great, man. Really appreciate the conversation. Love talking hoops with you. Love talking basketball betting with you. And let's cash our tickets for not just tonight, but as we look forward for the rest of these NBA playoffs.
Scott, can I give you one WNBA play to send us out?
Yes, of course.
Phoenix Mercury minus 2.5 or 3. Consensus odds as we're recording this. Natasha Mack get hurt last game for the Phoenix Mercury. She's pivotal. She tweets out after the game that it was just cramping and she just needed to be hydrated, expected to play. If Mack is active for tonight's game, Mercury versus the LA Sparks, no brainer. This should be closer to Mercury minus 4.5. So love the WNBA, huge WNBA better, providing liquidity to the prediction markets and crushing it so far. So join me on the Phoenix Mercury tonight, minus 2.5.
Right now up on FanDuel, it is minus 3.5. But you know something? I'm still going to recommend it, Fiddle. We're going to be on it, okay? Let's go Phoenix Mercury tonight against the Los Angeles Sparks. Let's turn our attention from the NBA playoffs to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where last night the Vegas Golden Knights took Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals from the Colorado Avalanche 4-2. The final score. A scoreless first period saw the Knights take a 2-0 lead. At the end of the second period, VGK would take a 3-0 lead before Colorado answered with 2 goals, the second one coming on the power play with about 2 minutes left in the game. VGK added the empty netter for the 4-2 finish. Carter Hart made 36 saves last night, going well over his saves prop, and we cashed with a couple of player props. We once again had Pavel Dorofeyev, Skorofeyev, to go over his shots on goal prop. He went over 2.5 shots on goal with 3 shots on goal. And the anytime goal sprinkle, which we always do with our shot on goal props. So that cashed as well. We love us some Skorofiev. So the Knights take game one from the Colorado Avalanche, and now taking a look at the series price, because Colorado was an overwhelming favorite here in this series, and they are still favorites, but much shorter right now. Colorado minus 114 up on FanDuel, VGK minus 105 on the comeback. We already played the plus 1.5 games. As we talked about on yesterday's pod, the math just mathed. And so far, we need VGK to win at least 3 games. They won 1 already, so off to a good start. The Eastern Conference Finals get underway tonight with the Carolina Hurricanes, a minus 196 favorite up on FanDuel over the Montreal Canadiens. Total of 5.5, minus 132 to the over. Now, this is a very strange situation. The Carolina Hurricanes come into this game on 11 days of rest. Let me repeat that. 11 days of rest. This is the first time ever in the Stanley Cup playoffs that a team has had 11 days of rest in between games. Think about that. First time ever. Only one time before has a team had 10 days of rest. That was back in 2019. The Bruins, coming off of 10 days rest, defeated the Blues, and it was a 4-2 finish. So 1-0 straight up. 1-0 on the puck line, and the game was an over. 9 days of rest has happened 4 times, and those teams are actually 1-3 straight up, 1-3 on the puck line, and the game's 2-1 to the over. But for the first time ever, a team playing a Stanley Cup playoff game on 11 days of rest. You guys already know where I'm going with this game. It is the over 5.5. Right now, minus 132 up on FanDuel, and I am playing the trend of the teams coming off the Game 7 like the Montreal Canadiens are, and those games have gone over a significant amount of times. Major League Baseball, 4 sweep avoidance plays yesterday, and it went 3-1 to the under. Orioles, Rays went under. Giants, Diamondbacks was actually a push if you got it at 9. If you did play it at 8.5, you lost because it was a 6-3 final, so 9 runs were scored. Royals, Red Sox goes under. Cubs, Brewers go under. So in the database, it actually counts that Giants, Diamondbacks as 8.5, which was the closing number, so technically that is a loss for the sweep avoidance unders. But on the season right now, with the 3-1 results from yesterday, the sweep avoidance unders now on the season, and this is 3-game sweeps. You know it. We've talked about it before on the pod. We put it in the newsletter as well. It is now 57, 38, and 4 to the under this season. And it is a Thursday today in Major League Baseball, which means, hey, we could have some more sweep avoidance situations. Now, the day gets started with the Guardians and Tigers playing the 4th game of a 4-game set. This is different than our sweep avoidance unders with the 3-game series, because this is actually a 4-game series. This season, it's actually been the opposite. There have been 7 instances of teams looking to avoid 4-game sweeps this year. Those teams are actually 0-7 straight up, 0-7 on the run line, and the games have gone 6-1 to the over. And right now up on FanDuel, it is Tigers minus 116. So the Guardians on that play would be minus 102. Total of 7.5, actually reduced vig, minus 102 to the over for today. The 4-game sweep avoidance system. That'll wrap up this episode of Better Day. You can head to our website, betterday.com, learn how you can become a Better Day Insider or Premium member. Make sure you follow us across all of your social media channels. My thanks to Michael Fiddle, who joined us. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.